I've got the need for speed. The kind of speed that's excessive. So today we're gonna look at excessive speed, which is a top-down racer in which you drive cars with excessive speed and eliminate other cars with excessive force. There are mixed sources on the year when this was published. Some sources claim it was 1996, while others say it's 1999. It was developed by Chaosworks, Ganymede Technologies and Iridian Interactive, who also doubled as a publisher. Topware Interactive was also a publisher depending on where it was released. It's a little bit similar to Death Rally, they're both racing games with power-ups and destruction, Death Rally being seen from a top-down view and excessive speed being presented in isometric view. Starting the game will shove some logos into your face so you can read who made the game, and before you have time to react, the game's title screen comes crashing into your face. Press any key and enter the main menu where you'll be greeted by pure silence. Initially, the version I got as a kid was from a gaming magazine, so I just assumed it had the music ripped out to have more space for demo games. But I got a copy of the full game and the music is still nowhere to be found. There are YouTube videos of the in-game audio tracks, so I decided to look around the internet for an English copy. While having absolutely zero luck finding an image with audio, I did try the English version and something was different. In the Polish version, Iridian's logo is not present in the beginning, or mentioned at all, anywhere. The whole configuration menu is much smaller without dedicated sections, totally skipping the audio section. But why is that difference there? Well, it turns out Iridian was responsible for creating the music in the English version. Seems like it could have been an issue between studios and publishers, and possibly the new publisher didn't want to pay Iridian licensing fees for their music. That's just speculation though. Whatever the reason was, Iridian was gone from the game, and so was their music. Excessive Speed offers 3 game modes: Track Fighter, Grand Prix, and Championship. Championship allows you to race through all 14 available tracks in the game, but in order to advance, you have to finish first. Losing a race means losing a life and retrying the track. Winning a race gives you an extra one. You start off with 2 lives in the beginning and the rest is up to you. Grand Prix is all about the money. You race on 5 random tracks you unlocked in Track Fighter and compete for a new car. The better the finishing place, the more money you get, and in the end the player with most cash wins a new car. Track Fighter is a mode in which you can unlock more tracks. There are 14 tracks in total, but you only start with 2. For every track there are 3 challenges. For each challenge you get a star, and every 3 stars a new track is unlocked. The 3 challenges are: win a regular race against AI opponents, a time trial against a preset ghost, and Dynamite Run, which is a single lap time trial against a ghost with a twist. Touching the walls instantly wrecks your car, so you've gotta be careful. You start off with 2 cars, but a total of 6 can be unlocked, almost all having twisted names of real brands like Yotoya or Lotus. Cars have 5 statistics defining how they handle and drive: maximum speed, handling, acceleration, weight, and strength. While most statistics are self-explanatory, I found strength to be a little confusing, as it represents the amount of damage your car can handle before it explodes, and not damage dealt to enemies. Because in excessive speed, not only is the speed excessive, it's also force with which you'll be dealing with your rivals. The way cars handle is pretty okay, it's very arcadey, but it takes a while to get used to the skidding and sliding around corners, as most cars in the game do that more or less excessively. You'll probably bump into walls on your first race, but it takes no time to get accustomed to the game's controls. In a way, it reminds me of the way Micro Machines 3 controls. The game features 14 tracks of various environments like junkyards, space stations, racetracks, futuristic cities, haunted cities, mines, and an autobahn. There's a lot of variety. They're all pre-rendered in a 2.5D perspective, giving it a light feeling of depth and look absolutely great. They're quite detailed and the lighting work is just awesome, not to mention I love the little extra details like the UFO in the space station, the helicopter that follows you throughout Twilight City, or the fish and bubbles in the underwater track. There's so much in the foreground. But there are a few places where it's more annoying than cool looking, as your car disappears behind it. Or explodes if someone left a mine there. Most of the time it doesn't bother me, but there are a few places where it does obstruct your view. What I also don't like is that some tracks do not have a clear line where the track goes and where its boundaries are. The worst offender being the desert track. It does have a track suggesting where to go, but there's a point in the level where it completely disappears and the foreground gets in the way, causing me to drive into a wall for the first time. Not only that, but it does not have clear boundaries, meaning I constantly felt like I'm bouncing off invisible walls. But what about the meat of the game, the racing and blowing up everyone else with power-ups? Well, there are 17 total power-ups. They are separated into two types, represented with two colors, green and white. Green power-ups activate automatically, and those include the Earthquake, which makes your foes tremble in fear, Eraser, which removes all pickups for a moment, Repair and Full Repair, which restore your car's health, Ghost, which allows you to clip and drive through other cars, and of course a Shield, which will protect you for a moment from taking a hit. White power-ups, however, are carried once picked up, and you can use them whenever you want by pressing the Shift key. They will be replaced with another white power-up if you drive over one. Now, the interesting part that I learned recently is that this wasn't the case in the Iridian version of the game. The game had an extra lock key which locked a power-up from being replaced, but this feature is completely gone from the Polish version, not to mention the labels of picked up items are also gone. You have a wide arsenal of heat-seeking missiles, rear-shot missiles, a barrage of rockets, mines, a chain gun, turbo and double turbo, and the classic oil slick. But there are also unique weapons like Freeze, which will enclose a car in ice and cause it to slide in the direction it was facing, and if it hits a wall with enough force, the car will shatter into tiny pieces, like ice or glass. There's also Jump, which is quite interesting. It gives your car a small boost in the direction you're facing when used, and you can use it as long as you don't pick a new item. It also negates sliding around, meaning it's perfect for making sharp turns. And finally, a Twister, which will rotate a car in the opposite direction if someone drives into it. Attack the opponents enough times or suffer enough damage from enemies, and the cars will turn into a pile of scrap that you can jump over. There are two problems that I have with these power-ups. One, respawning takes too long, and two, there are no power-ups that allow you to catch up. First of all, dying is a risk because you might never recover from it. Respawning takes enough time for enemies to catch up and even overtake you without breaking a sweat. This ties to the second problem of the game, there's no catch-up mechanics. Racing games nowadays offer random pickups but give you a better chance of getting speed boosts and better power-ups the lower you place. Prime examples would be Mario Kart and Sega All-Stars Racing. In excessive speed, power-ups spawn randomly and are not randomized when picked up. This also means that being in the back you might not pick up anything as players in front of you clear everything out. This makes the game very difficult and often requiring more luck than skill. And that's the biggest flaw of excessive speed, as there's no way to select the game's difficulty and the AI is pretty solid. There's no learning curve. And would I recommend it to anyone else these days? Well, not really. It's not a terrible game, but its difficulty can make it very frustrating to play. And I'm pretty sure that things that are frustrating aren't too fun. So let's leave excessive speed where it belongs, in the past, without its music.